Hello and welcome to Audionautic Deep Space Network, episode 73. This is the Independent Musician's Guide to Promo and Production. Today, we're demoing and walking through the new Octave Cat synth from Cherry Audio. Then we're also going to be talking about Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, Xeeting, apparently, or Xeeting. I don't know. Supposedly, tweets are now Xeet. You tell me, chat, let me know how you would pronounce that. Xeet? Xeet? I don't know. I mean, maybe only Musk knows that. I'm sure though, that I was going to say, I'm sure Eon Lake has some opinions, and I'm sure chat does. I should say we're live. The live show is exclusive to our patrons. We're testing out some new things. If you want to watch this show live, if you're watching it back, you can head to patreon.com/audionautic. The link is in the description. My name is Sunwarper, and with me today is Eon Lake. How are you?
Oh, you got me this week. You surprised me. I thought you were going to go Curtis.
I keep shaking it up. I got to keep you guys on your toes.
I know. It's working. I don't know how I am. You put me on the spot. Actually above average, I'd say.
I'll take it. And also with us is my Audionautic co-pilot, Curtis. How are you?
Doing well. Yeah, it's beautiful. Taking world as it comes. So can't really complain. Literally, as you were playing the intro music, I lost sound halfway through, and I'm just like, I can't hear anyone about anything. It's flustered. But hello. Nice to see everyone here. Hello, lovely.
What are we going to start with, Curtis?
Let's start with the Cherry Audio, shall we? Seeing as that is our main gig of the week.
This synth is awesome. Cherry Audio sent us some codes for it. Just want to give a quick disclaimer because we usually forget an Eon Lake is just judging us the whole time till we state this. But they gave us the codes, but they have no say in the content that we're talking about. Our opinions, they're our own. But there's some history to this synth. So, Curtis, do you want to walk through that a little bit so we can give some context about what this synth is?
Yeah. So the Octave Cat originally is a hardware synthesizer from 1976. History time, kids.
Yeah. Taking a deep dive.
Oh, yeah. And it's really cool. If you've seen any photos of it itself, you'll see it from when we start putting it up on screen.
Yeah, let me actually, hold on. I can just give a quick.
There you go.
There we go.
So it's a little compact portable synthesizer from 1976. And the entire point of it was to rival that of the Art Odyssey or the Mini Moog or Mini Moog, for example. Where these were in prog rock bands and general bandage as you're touring the country, and they're very portable, but they're also very expensive. And so the guys decided to create the Octave Cat, which was meant to do similar things and similar ideas, but for only $600. And it was a complete success. It's duophonic, and it was used two big names, the Prodigy and the Chemical Brothers, two massive pillars of the electronic music community.
What do they know?
Yeah, and it's good enough. If it's good enough for them, it's good enough for us.
Yeah. So. I think it goes without saying, if it's old and analog, I'd love to have a listen to an original one.
Yeah.
I don't know, there's just, even with reissued, there's something about it being old that gives it character. I think you need to have some aged circuits. I like these fat little machines that make thick tones and so on. You have to be careful mixing them, though, obviously. Too many layers.
That's true. That's true. I think Curtis and I can both attest with the massive sound of this synth, at least the plugin wise. We both did songs basically only with this synth, and it's powerful, but you have to make sure you've got the volume and the levels right. Chat, has anybody checked this out? Let us know, or if you're looking into it, hopefully this video will give you some insight. Anything else context wise, gents, before we get into the walkthrough?
Not as such. I just think it's something that we'll let the synthesizer speak for itself. We have quite a deep dive.
It was well liked, though, I understand.
I mean, the affordability.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's what brings it up. And so why don't we got two videos. Well, Sunwarper's got a live demo.
No video here.
No video here.
This one's stressful.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts on this one. So yeah, Sunwarper's doing that. And then I've got a pre-recorded video where I made a little... Well, I said techno, but then Sunwarper texted me before the show saying it was
lush ass 70s prog, synth prog.
So we'll see.
I was listening to it. I was just like, "Ooh, this is nice." Yeah.
Yeah, one man's techno.
Well, that's the beauty of genre, right? It's also
another man's chill out.
Yeah,
exactly. So let's get into it, shall we?
Yeah, real quick. And I do want to say that Bendu is the person that turned me on to Cherry Audio with the free MG1. That's what is that, the Radio Shack Moog synth from I want to say 70s, maybe 80s. Sorry if my context is off. You guys can correct me, of course. But he says, I'm looking forward to what you folks are going to show us. I like Cherry Audio and I like minimal interfaces. Yeah, and I think that's actually a really good starting point to talk about this synth, because it appears minimal in terms of interface, but that's kind of the beauty of it, because it's very, very complex with how you can route everything. And we're not going to completely dive into all the crazy stuff you can do with routing. By the way, sorry, the only way I can get audio is to have another guest. So please welcome Daub Warper. So it'll just be in the background so that I can show this main screen with the synth and some sounds and stuff. So just to start off, so I have to move computers to make sure you can see my mouse and stuff like that. So I'm sorry, I'm jumping between things. So this is the interface. It does look pretty simple, but this is all of these different routings you can do, and it gets quite complicated, as you'll see. Let me just start with a couple little sounds that I made. And the first one is actually a patch that comes with it, but I adjusted it a bit. So I'll first just play it a little bit. You guys hearing it all right?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So this is what the patch is called Poly Squares, and let me just show you the original one first, if I can find it. Okay, this is the original. So I really like that it has that kind of start pluck, but there's a lot of attack and release. So let me go back to the one I made. You can see I lowered the sustained release, and then I'm using one of the mod routings. So the VCF, which is like the filter and stuff, is going to the LFO, which is down here. So I have the LFO synced, and it's just doing some control of the filter. So let me raise that so you can hear. And then this is where I had it. So it just gives it the pluck, but then kind of controls the filter to move it around. So now let me just walk through the synth. I just wanted to play a little bit so you can kind of get a hear of like some of the mod routing you can do. And that's just barely scratching the surface. So we have ADSR, and we also have attack and release. Those are separate, and you can change what routes to each of those. And then we have the glide down here. We've also got, as we talked about, the LFO. You can sync it or turn the sync off. You've got unison down at the bottom. You can turn that on or off. It's off right now. You also, it's not just stuck to a mono or poly. You can do poly, duo, or mono, and you can change the amount of voices. And then over, I think I already said, but you've got glide. You can also change the repeat of the ADSR to gated, off, or auto. Then we get into the two oscillators. So there's the VCO1, which can do sub-octave, sawtooth, triangle, and then square. And you can change all the levels independently, which is really cool. And then you've got fine tune, coarse tune, and you can turn the keyboard control on, off, or semi. And this is so that if you're using the whole VCO1 as a mod source, you can shut off the sound from it, which will make sense in a little bit. I showed Curtis, that's why he's smiling. He already knows. But you can use the whole VCO1 as a mod source, basically like a beefed up LFO with a lot of changes and stuff like that. So this is that plucky synth that I already had. So VCO1 is on. You can also set the type, the waveform of the LFO. You can set whether it's going to say again, Neon Link. Oh, no, you just excited? Yeah, okay. I was telling Curtis, I was like, I'm trying to route the LFO, you know, me being DAW or just like newer synths. I was like, I'm trying to route the LFO to the filter and there's no way to do it. And he's like, oh, you know, yeah, it's like an old synth. And then I realized, oh, it's right here. It's this knob. It's all different from the context of what I and probably a lot of us are used to with synths that are, you know, current and easy. You can just type in where you want routing to go and stuff. It's all on this front panel. And that's getting back to what Bendu was saying with the simple interface. It's simple, but it's deep when you really get into it. As I was saying on this one right here in VCO1, you can change which, if you're going to ADSR, AR, or you can go to VCO2, and you can change how much. You can go negative or positive. And then it's also got pulse width modulation if you're using square. So you can control the amount of pulse width, and then you can change where that's going. Then you've got VCO2. It doesn't have coarse, but it's got fine tune. You can sync it. There's two sync types. And then it's also got the LFO and the ADSR or AR. And then, yeah, you can go and set it to VCO1, which we'll talk to. This one has square and sawtooth. Sub-octaves as well. Over on the VCF, you also get more routing. You've got also the ADSR or AR or VCO1, or you can use the LFO and you can set again whether you want sine wave, square, all that. You also get keyboard control here. And then, oh yeah, velocity is over here. I think I missed that. You can change the velocity here. You've got your filter, and this thing, it's a, let me go to my notes. 24 dB filter. The resonance is crazy. You can get some really like squelchy, squeaky tones and stuff. You've also got the VCA, which you can change, affect that. It's also got a limiter on the master. And then you have a noise level, because every good synth has to have some noise, right? Then you also get FX and sequencer on this second page. I hope you all can see that. But so there's main page, which goes and shows that, and then FX and sequencer. Lots of really cool effects. And then the sequencer's great. I haven't really dipped into the sequencer all that much, but it's quite cool. And over at the top, you can go, let me just show. So here's all your patches and presets. And then you've got the menu. You can change the zoom because it's a pretty big synth in terms of plugins. So you can make it smaller. You've got MIDI. You can set routings and things like that. Let me get it bigger again because I'm looking at this tiny screen. So if you shut MIDI off, you can also have a little keyboard.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
On the train.
Yeah, it's nice to have. So that's the basic walkthrough. Let me also just show regarding that using VCO1. I saw this in a video from Starsky Carr, I believe. I'll link it because it was really cool. He designed this synth using, it was like it really reminded me kind of Boards of Canada because he's using VCO2 as the oscillator, but then VCO1 is like an LFO, and it makes this really warped pitch synthy sound. So you guys hearing that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the way it's routed, you can see I've got over here on VCO2, it's sending to VCO1 instead of like the ADSR and things like that. So here now these waveforms become LFO type, and then you change the speed with coarse. So let me just show you, this is what I've got it at, right? Let me just change the filter around so you can hear it. So it's got a little bit of pitch bending and warble to it, right? So let me just show you if we just keep it running. You hearing that pitch warble?
Very nice, yeah.
So yeah, you can overdo it quite a lot. But where I had it was a nice little pitch warble. So you can kind of get that real Boards of Canada sound. And then you can do LFO on the filter. So we've got this on quarter. Let's make that all. Let's try that resonance. I told you it can get pretty squelchy. So again, that was just changing a couple things with the setting. But yeah, VCO2 is using VCO1 as basically like a in-depth LFO. FCC says, can we have that preset? I'd like to see how that's set up. Yeah, we'll get that to the patrons. Just give me a little time because I also have to make this video once we're done. FCC says, sorry, I missed this, that he has the Octave Cat, not used it much yet, but I'm really loving it. Sequencer ARP is very interesting and playful. Yeah, I haven't delved into that much, but that's very cool to hear.
What's the polyphony? Because the original was only duophonic.
Down here, sorry, I can't get it bigger. You can go, if you set it to poly, which is this keyboard mode right here. Okay. Sorry that the mouse is a little tiny. Let me zoom in on this over here. So if you go
poly, mono, or
poly, duo, and mono.
Oh, right.
And then you've got down here, it says poly, a number of voices. So you can do, I got to move from the mic just so I can see this, 2, 4, 8, or 16. So I had it set to 8, but
wow.
But yeah, you've got a lot of flexibility. And that's one of the things that I really love about this synth is like I keep saying, it seems very simple, but there's just like an ocean of depth to it when you really start to dive into it. And that makes it really intriguing to me. And I'll just, any other questions, actually, I should say, before I give a quick sound demo of some of this in context?
What do you make of the effects? I see it's got flanger, reverb, echo. What do they sound like?
Why don't we find out live? For clarity, I have some effects on here. Echo Boy, super massive. I can't help it. I'm sorry. Tape Mellify, and another super massive, because what's life without two super massives? Let me shut that all off and show you. Let me get this to the original sound again. This is it without any effects at all. Let me change the filter a little. Still sounds lovely in my opinion. And then let's see. So we've got distortion. Let's turn on this. Whoa. Let's just get fuzz.
Oh, that's lush. Yeah.
Max and minimum. All right, let's get the phaser on. I'm gonna shut the distortion off for right now. So there's phaser. We've got flanger or chorus. We've already got chorus on, it looks like. So we'll keep that there. Echo, it looks like the echo is actually on, but not very high. We'll sync it. Let's go to a quarter. Lots of feedback. Okay, and then, oh yeah, we gotta have some reverb. Let's go galactic. And massive decay. There we go. And let's put that tube distortion back on.
That's nice, yeah.
Does that please you, Eon Lake? Is that a good enough look at the effects?
No,
It's a quick look.
Pleasing me very much, this little fella. I think I might have to have it.
Excellent. Yeah, I've been really digging the sounds I've made on it. Chat, are there any questions before I just show a quick little bit of what the demo I made? I'm gonna make a fuller video on this over on my YouTube channel probably in 2 weeks because I don't think I'll have time for a video this week. And Bendu, we've got a new T-shirt. I think you guys tell me because I did say it. I don't want to say that, but let's go galactic.
Yeah, if anyone's got that list, please.
Yeah, there's another one.
Yeah. All right. You guys want to just hear it quickly? So all of these MIDI besides the drums are different patches of Octave Cat. So I did some arps, some bass, a pad, those warped chords I showed, and then the plucks. There's also a sine lead. So the drums, kind of an Aphex Twin vibe, I feel like, but it's just using Logic Drummer. This is like in the middle of the song, so there's not much context. But yeah, so there's this little ARP. I really like that ARP, just going in the background.
Very nice, yeah.
That was just a quick look into the mod routing. If you want to see more or want us to cover more about the complexities of it, let us know and we'll cover it in a different video. This is a little bit more of just a quick walkthrough and general sound demo. But yeah, Curtis, anything before we switch to your video?
No, I just think it's just a comment on the fact that it's just a very nice kind of, it produces those retro vibes really well. So if you've got commissions or if you're looking to make stuff a bit like Boards of Canada or anything like that, then it seems to be you're on the right track with that. We'll get into sounds and what it can do for us after another little sound demo.
Yeah. Eon, like anything else you want to say before we switch to this video?
No, I was just thinking about how it could be used.
There's a lot of ways, I think. Yeah, I mean, my brain, that's what that demo I did. Like, I just kept going. I started with that little pluck chord and I changed it around with the LFO. And then I was like, oh, I need a bass. So I found a bass patch and then messed with that. Then I needed the ARP. So I was like, okay. And then I wanted a sine lead. So they have a really cool sine one that's using the resonance to make a sine wave. That was a lot of fun. And then I tweaked it a little bit. And then I just made another lead, just messing around with the
that was the
default patch.
question I had.
Yeah, go ahead.
Does it self-oscillate, the oscillator? I imagine it would with resonance like that.
I believe so. This one is called sine lead.
Shit.
So that's with this resonance cranked up. And if you change the frequency, the pitch changes. Sorry, I'm blasting your ears, but yeah.
It's cool. Very nice.
Listen to that. That reminds me of, what is it, Twoism from Boards of Canada. That one first chord progression. Yeah, maybe that's something they're doing. We'll say goodbye now, unfortunately, to Daw Warper. He'll be back, I'm sure, but we'll say bye for now. We'll switch over to this video. Curtis, do you want to give any context before we switch over?
Just that I I didn't play around with the I was my words, Josh. Mine was coming out the presets out the box. What you could do with the presets. There's some minor alterations, which I think I've made clear in the video. But it's putting the sounds together as they are. Minimal effects, minimal changing. This is just what you get in the box. That's kind of what you can do with it, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and that I think that's perfect because there's a lot of strengths to just what's in those presets. And then like where I was going, I wanted to cover kind of like experimenting with it a little bit. So we kind of took it from two different aspects, because sometimes it's great to just see what the presets are and either build off of it, reverse engineer it to learn the synth, or, you know, if you need to finish things quick, like we were talking about with commissions or something, like there's some great sounds.
Hey, hope you're doing well. Nice to see you. Right, so Sunwolf has taken you through the parameters of this wonderful little synthesizer. So now I'm going to put everything there and we're going to turn it into a little song. So I've been playing around with the presets and looking at where it works, and it's an incredibly versatile little synthesizer. All those classic sounds, but there is a lot to be seen. So we'll go over into Ableton and we'll take a look at what it can do. Right, here we are, sitting inside Ableton in its own right. Built a little bit of a setup. We've got 8 channels here, and then we've got 1 lead line on the 9th. Now, all the sounds that we've got here are directly from the Octave cat in its own right. As you can see, I've got a couple of sends, which is a drum bus, and just some massive washed out reverb, because I've gone for a bit of techno. Why not, eh? This is 1970s synthesizer. Let's see how versatile it is. Now, all the presets that are in here I have not played with, apart from the improvised lead line, which I'll play at the very end. But everything else is stock out of the box. So you can see where we've got. So we've got some percussion sounds. We've got some old school kick. We've got another kick, because why are we not layering kicks? That's the real question. We've got here another little snare sound. Might be a bit loud. Sorry about that. We've got here a low pad, high pad, bass. And then finally some keys, which is kind of like this rhythmic keys thing that I found. I thought was quite nice. Kind of a bit trancey, again, directly out of the box, which is really awesome. And then finally, we've got the improvised lead line itself. So yeah, like I say, we're going to see how this pans out. It's going to be pretty cool, if I do say so myself. Not because of my production techniques, obviously, but more because this itself is really cool. So yeah, let's see how this goes, shall we? There you go. Really versatile little synthesizer. Really interesting sounds coming in from here. Like I say, I've taken these straight out of the box. A little bit of tweaking, but nothing too heavy. But there is a ripe grounding there for you to really get your teeth into something wonderful.
There we go. Curtis, anything you want to add to it?
No, it's just that was, well, yeah, I mean, I say no, but then I want to say something. So yes. There are a lot of presets in there. And yeah. The key, when I started this, there was this notion of, okay, we were talking about playing with the sounds, and they were good sounds, but you have to tweak them a little bit. But as time goes on, you know, there's a lot there to play with, and go straight out of the box, you've got a lot that you can work with there. And then combining that with Sunwalker's methodology of just kind of like fucking around with it, there's so much you can do. And it for only $49, I mean, it's awesome for what it is, you know.
Is that an intro price?
I don't know. It's a good question, I think. Hang on. You guys talk.
The music. You always have fun with those names, Curtis. Always have fun with those names. Chat, let us know if anybody, I know Frequency Control Center has it, but if anybody else has it or is thinking about grabbing it, and if you've been using any of the patches, what are your favorite presets? If not, what is your favorite sound that you've designed? FCC, I'm curious, what have you been using it for? I know you said you really like the sequencer. Let us know. Eon, like, are you looking into getting it?
Yeah, I really do like the idea of it, because I mean, I used to be of the thinking that I don't really care about effects on a synth. I've got plugins, I've got effects units, I can deal with that. I just want something with a good tone. But the more I think about playing live and stuff like that, it's just to have a sound contained within a preset that can be saved and backed up and all the rest of it, that you know 15 years from now you could recall if you needed to, appeals to me as well. So I do like some bits of kit that do have built-in effects. I'm wondering what the CPU hits like though.
Yeah, I mean, I've got the M2 MacBook Pro, and I had, what was it, 8 instances? I mean, I didn't, and I'm on 64 for the buffer, and I didn't notice like any issues. But Curtis seems to have a smile, so maybe he's not so lucky.
So I want to know. I've been building an Uber template, which is currently a working title, but basically I've been stacking instruments in the effects rack, or the instruments rack, sorry, in Ableton, and I've been stacking and stacking and stacking and stacking. And in building the template for my live stream today after this show, I have got 16 instances of Octave Cat plus all the regular quote unquote underneath. I'm running on 32 gig of RAM. It takes a while to load, but once you're there, it's fine. So I feel the CPU is quite minimal in short.
Yeah, I didn't notice anything. I didn't have any struggles, but I haven't had many struggles with the M2. So I don't know if that's like fair to say. I'm not sure. Because I don't have it on my 2020. If I did, I would check it on that. But yeah, on the M2, even at the 64, which is pretty good for buffer, usually that's when stuff starts to get messed up. At least on the old one, it's totally fine.
So I've got a Juno 60 copy that I use quite a lot. And some of those, sometimes the sounds on that, especially if you put any inserts on the channel as well, that channel can start to hit the CPU a little bit. And I sometimes bounce them once I've got the part written, just to keep things cool. So
yeah,
but I don't really mind having to do that either. If if you've got something that produces good sounds and you can just get on with writing something, then I think it's worth it.
Yeah, and over in the chat, we've got Survey Channel. Oh, that might be the wrong one because a new one popped up. Survey Channel says, the Octave Cat seems nice. Nice cat. Yeah. FCC says that he was looking for a nice ARP and sequencer, so he's been messing around with that a bit. Sounds nice with pads. Yeah, I believe that ARP I had in my song was using the sequencer, but it was more of a patch. I didn't really tweak that one much. But yeah, the sequencer sounds great. That's something if anybody wants us to look more into either, like I said, the mod routing or sequencer, you know, to get back into this, we can cover that in another video. Just let us know. Patrons, either let us know in the chat or in the Twitter group, or should I say X group? Oh, that just does not sound right. We'll get to that though. The Xeeting group, I don't know, or the Discord. You can also just go to the Discord and bypass that whole problem and existential crises. But let us know there, or if you're watching this back in the video, just let us know in the comments if there's anything that you want us to cover about it, or that we missed that you really like about the synth.
Yeah, for sure. It's a cool little thing. In answer to Eon Lake's previous question, it is at the moment $49. It says it's down from $70 or $69. So you probably got a point. Grab it while you can. Thanks to the guys from Cherry Audio for sending over a couple of codes and let's play it around with. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, go grab it.
Yeah, I think it's really an excellent just experimentation synth, because like you have all this routing and like I said, we barely scratched the surface with all the changes you can do to what each of those routings can be set to with ADSR, AR, the LFO types, all that stuff. Like it's really fun to either just pull up a patch like what Curtis was doing, mess with it and try to learn what it's doing to cause that sound, or there's some really great deep dive videos, like I talked about that Starsky Car one, that VCO one as an LFO thing was from that video, and like it just sounds so cool, and it's so much fun to just see what you can get out of this, like just tweaking these knobs and stuff, and you don't have to do a deep dive into all these different like routing sources and things like that. It's all just right there in front of you. That's what I really like, and
so kind of
sounds like we got Bendu,
doesn't it?
Yeah, it definitely Eon Lake, and it sounds like we got Bendu. He says, "I'm sold on the Octave Cat." Well, great, yeah. Let us know how you find it if you get it. Oh, and I got to share this one because Curtis says, "Would you say you're for it, Ben?" Oh man, you're full of them today, Curtis.
It's not coming back. It's not coming back. It's quite fun. I might lie. But yes, that is that. If you want us to see, if you want to see any more, obviously this live stream is just for you guys, you patrons. So thank you ever so much. If you want to see us do some more, I know Sunwolf is going to do a bit of a deep dive on his channel.
Yeah, it might be in 2 weeks because this week has been. I don't think I have a video for next week, which is a good thing. Not for this round robin, but dealing with pressure of trying to maintain consistency and stuff. I think that's something we should talk about, because like I was talking to Curtis, sorry to derail this, but I was like, I haven't missed a video in like almost a year, and I'm like, I feel all this pressure, but so many things happen, like my dog had to go to the emergency vet and stuff, like there's no time, so I have to just like go, right? But
we'll put a good idea there is to miss a video, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Just to reiterate who's in control.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. That's a good point.
You said to me before I went to Slovenia, but like, fuck it, man. Just you're in control.
Yeah, I think that's why I always appreciate talking with Eon Lake and Curtis, because they keep me grounded, and they're like, "What are you talking?" Like when you say it, you're like, "Why am I even saying that?"
I know
like
what
that
you mean, though.
But you just get into it, And I mean, this is like something I do basically for a living, so it's like. It starts to be like, oh crap, am I gonna miss that?
Everything is geared towards that as well, to making you feel that way.
Yeah,
got to keep, got to keep going, keep regular.
Yeah. I'm sorry to derail it, but I just wanted to mention. But
when you get to my age, keeping regular is something completely different.
Oh yeah, like
I think that pulls the shutter down on that one. We can move on now.
Well, real quick, we'll get back on topic before we move over. But Survey Channel says 1970s Film Board of Canada documentary ready. Yes, definitely. One thing I want to do is to get a little more of that like tape sound and thing is for my video, throw that through the SP to get some of those like warped sounds with the tape emulation and the 404 vinyl sim and stuff. So it'll be fun to explore that. And then Sir Rachel says Octave Cat is approved for us under British pylons during bonfires. And unfortunately, the StreamYard lack of emoji strikes again, because Bendu's got cat orange whistling. I'm sure on YouTube it looks great, but StreamYard, but the
if that doesn't deserve cat orange whistling, I don't know what does.
Yeah, come on, StreamYard. That's come on.
It is what it is. So, yeah. So that's that. So we're doing some more if you want to see some more. Our second piece of news for the day is more of a public service announcement than anything else. But it is that time of year. Summer sales are through, and Arturia started theirs, which is on until the 15th of August. I know there's a couple of guys here, Hydro Fighter being one of them. I always reference Hydro Fighter when we talk about Arturia. But yeah. 50% off a lot of their stuff. The only thing that is disappointing, if I scroll all the way to the bottom, I will come back up. The V collection is not on discount. Might have to wait for Black Friday for that one in particular. That made me sad a little bit. But I mean, you've got the Synclavier 5 down at €74 right now. You've got the Mini V down to 74. You got the you got the ARC 2600, sorry, 74 as well. A lot of big, hard-hitting synthesizers from classics. You know, the CZ5, sorry. You've got that 74 in there. Great prices, and if it's 50% off, you can buy two for the price of one. And look how amazing that is. I mean, they are very high-quality sounds. They are very well done. In my experience, I get the CPU usage is high, but when you can't beat sounds like this, to be honest. When it comes to synthesizers, I'll say. When it comes to
I always wanted the Prophet ones and the CS80.
Yes.
Survey Channel had convinced me to buy the V collection a couple years ago for like a Black Friday deal. It might have even been this because, like he says, they used to do it. The collection used to be on sale in this sale, but I almost pulled the trigger and then I was like, oh, I'll wait, and then I never did, and I've like always regretted it. But on that note, Survey Channel says snag that synth collection, and then you had covered that it's not there, and he says, damn, that's when I got it last year during the summer sale. He's not a fan that it's not there. He says they screwed up. So yeah.
I feel like, I mean, it is €600. I wouldn't mind it being 350. Obviously, I think everyone would be. Maybe it is a Black Friday thing. Maybe it's one of those things where if they put it on too often, people won't buy it. I don't know.
Possibly.
I'm personally one of those people where I could spend. I mean, I'm very happy to go and spend, say, €75 on one of these if I want to. But I would hang out and, you know, save a little bit more, get it for 350, and hope that 50% comes off at Black Friday. I would hope for that.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah. And Chad, I'm curious, does anyone have any of these synths that you'd recommend getting just single, you know, or maybe two to get the 50% off, like, you know, 50% off? Ian, like, do you have any? Or Curtis looks like he's got something to say.
I like to look at quite a few of those actually, but I'd quite like a Mellotron actually. I like the Mellotron, which is a bit out of character for me. But yeah, I think narrowing it down to one might be a bit difficult, but something profity, I think.
I don't even have them, but I'd probably recommend a Prophet.
I get it.
Curtis, you had something to say. What was yours?
Well, Ian Lake stole my thunder, but it just shows that we're bred from, or what's the phrase? We're cut from the same cloth, because I was going to say the Mellotron too. Great plugin, fantastic plugin. The Whirly as well. I love the Whirly. You can just make some so weird stuff out of it.
Ben says the Selena is real nice.
No,
guy in the band I used to play in at the Selena, it was awesome. I really like it. I love it.
Yeah. Well, then maybe that's something you need to aim for. I would love if you had the collection, the ability to, like, you know, like if you get a gym pass, all right, you could like invite 3 or 4 guests a month into the gym on a one-time occasion. It would be great if you had the V collection. You could then like a day pass for like the Jupiter 8, for example, and just go use that for a little bit. That would be amazing. That would breed community, and that would breed amazingness, and which is why these companies will never do it. But wouldn't that be amazing? Wouldn't that be so cool?
You never know. Maybe they will.
Though. I think it would be, you know, the real famous Prophets, Jupiters, and Junos. These are the things I think you really, especially where there's a bit of polyphony involved, it's worth having. And they've got the tone. They really have. They
do, for sure. What would you guys get? You let us know. We'd like to do. That is our PSA for the day. There is summer sales. If there's anything we've missed throughout the news, let us know. We source this stuff. We spend our weekends a lot of time trawling through the websites and looking at what's going down. If there's anything we miss, let us know in the Discord. We love making this and bringing what the community has to say.
Yeah, and on community, we've got a couple more chats. Survey Channel gives a bit of a counter argument to buying just a single synth right now. He says if you get one, you'll want another, and so on. That's why the collection is the best deal, even if you have to wait. And that's a really good point. Yeah, it's interesting that is not even on any. There's no percentage sale on it, right? Like nothing. But then Bendu mentions that I think if you have one, the upgrade path, the collection is discounted. He thinks he's not sure, and so yeah, we'll have to check up on that, but I'm not sure.
We've climbed that ladder before, haven't we?
Yeah, that's how I got Ableton. You know,
sound choice.
Yeah,
it's how they get you, and too right. It's how they get you. I agree with what a Survey Channel says to a degree. That's why I've been building the instrument racks, because you never know what you're going to do. You never know what you're going to come out with, and having that fleet. On the one hand, there is that paralysis of analysis, but also there is that I can do anything. So it's a
you
nice
can, Curtis. You can do anything.
Yeah.
We're all about affirmations today. You can.
Exactly. So yeah, entirely. That is all the news. Should we move across to the marketing minute?
Yes.
If you're ready, I guess. Yeah, this has been quite the journey with this.
Everyone here, I believe, is on Twitter to a certain degree. I believe, apart from maybe I think Survey Channel closed his account a while back. But Twitter is no longer Twitter, apparently, but it is Twitter, but it's not Twitter, but it is Twitter, but it's not Twitter. And I'm confused and I want to cry. It's x.com now, but it's also twitter.com. It's not tweeting.
Go to Twitter. It will redirect, or if you go to x.com, vice versa, I guess, but it goes to Twitter. But then the Twitter logo has changed to this X, and it's, I guess, being rebranded. It seems kind of half-baked that they rolled it out. At one point, Musk just tweeted like, "Hey, we're gonna become X, and if we get a good logo in the next 12 hours, we'll change the logo." And then I guess they got one they liked and they changed it. And then apparently there was talk that they're changing the tweet to Xeet. And like we mentioned at the start, do you pronounce it Xeet? Xeet? I don't know. Is it an exit from Twitter? I mean, I don't know. Like, is that what they're telling us to do? Like, I'm not sure. But yeah, and we were talking about this in the patron Twitter group, and that's what, like, X group.
Yeah, it sounds a bit adult, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It's strange. So we were talking about it in the Twitter group, and I believe on the Discord, but definitely in the Twitter group. And I think it was our patron Abby that mentioned, it might have been Maureen's friend actually. I'm sorry if I'm wrong on it, but they mentioned that I believe with PayPal he had tried to do that before, where he was changing it to like X, and it was going to be this all kind of like hub to like everything, banking, this, that, and it seems like he held on to that dream and then bought Twitter for 44 billion, I believe, and then now he's doing it with Twitter, like an already established thing. But Eon, like, do you know anything about that?
No, I just don't know what to make of it, really.
We all are like that, man.
I kind of thought it was a joke at first, and I thought, oh no, he's being serious, isn't he? Okay, what? What? I don't know. No matter how you slice it, I come up saying what? That's just a reaction. What?
I think that was a collective response. I mean, Curtis and I were talking in our meet when we were making the docket today. We were just confused and like, what? And I'm sure Curtis can express his discontent better than I. So I'll pass it over to Curtis.
Well, I am frustrated, just because, again, it's mainly because it's an example of what Instagram are doing, in a sense, but they're rolling stuff out before it's ready, and it in itself is a story. So it's the socialization of social media, which, like, it's almost a parody of its own existence. If you think that social media is an unreal snapshot of existence, this is even further removed from that, and it's now what's driving the initial social media. And I feel like they're running out of ideas of just how to market things. Okay, so coming back to what they're going to be doing, we're going to be talking a little bit about what's new, so to speak, or what will be new. But one of the things is video content. So you're going to be able to have 2 hours of
You already
video
can.
content.
If you're a paid, if you have the Twitter Blue, I think it's called, maybe it'll be X Blue or I don't know, but you can do up to 2 hours. A video can be 2 hours long.
Which they're going to call an X video, which there is already a domain for. Let's remember that for starters. But also they're going to have, it's just, again, we're coming back to this Twitter, Insta tickgram tube, where they're all just
Instagram tube or something, right? You know?
Yeah, and it's just they're all coming together and merging for the middle. It's a race to the bottom, and I wonder if it's more of a commentary on how little they've got these days in order to come on through. Because it's
yeah, I mean, one thing I was going to mention is it reminds me with Threads, like you were saying, how Threads was pushed out half baked, possibly to get in on like the controversy. Yeah, Threadbare. Thank you. To get in on all the controversy around Twitter before any of this, but it seems like they also do it to kind of manufacture this drama around like, oh, it's half baked, and you get people talking about it, right? You can, and like it almost seems like, yeah, it's not positive, but it's like no PR is bad.
It's very much from the school of there's no such thing as bad publicity.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it seems like that, like maybe to your point, Curtis, about, you know, like it's a race to the middle and the bottom and stuff. It's also the easiest way to get talk about Twitter and get people on Twitter is to manufacture this whole thing that upsets people and then gets them talking about it. Like when you Google Twitter becoming X, there's tons of articles about it, right? So
yes,
it is publicity. And I'm not saying this in a good way. I'm saying it seems like that they're using this as a tactic. That's two companies now that have seemed to be using this tactic of let's put this out half baked.
Very, very quickly. People.
It was old before it started, in my opinion.
Exactly.
I think to a lot of people. Yeah, I think to a lot of people in that way.
Whatever. So, I mean, this just turns into the next round of Elon's prattling about at Twitter again. It's very hard to talk about this without swearing.
Do your best, but well, you know, it's fine.
Wild, you know, it's like, oh, this week we're going to be orange. Everything's orange. You know, can't they just be sat in a corner with a lunchbox or something and, you know, let the adults get back to work?
I mean, I just don't know what they're trying to achieve. They want to create this big integrated thing, one platform for anything. That's always been his dream. Just is anyone asking for that? That's what I want to know. I'm not sure. Are we asking for that? I don't want that. I don't want my money and my visual media. And
man has gone Kanye. He's gone full Kanye, and you know it's time for Blanky and Nap and just enough.
Wow. Well, we have
changing stuff that doesn't need to be changed, not addressing stuff that does, you know, trotting things out half baked, changing your mind. It's just, come on.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys ever get it in, like, if you're working on, like, you're in the end game of a mix, right? And in the back of your head, you know that there's a change that needs to be made. You know that there's something. There's something wrong with the EQ, or there's something wrong, but you know it's a lot of work. There's a lot of routing involved at this stage. There's a lot of automation. You know that if you have to do it, it's going to be a long way. So what do? You change something else, and you go, I'll just change that.
I thought you were going to talk about like the void, where you're almost done with the mix, and you're like, you know what? I could just tweak everything. Just redo everything, like that abyss that stares at you. You know, you're staring back at it. You're like, you know, I could just
1 3 4 4 2 3 6 1.
No, even worse is that when you're like, I could just change every single patch that I made and just do a new patch, and just you know, like you're just at the finish line, but like, you know what? What if I just retweaked everything? Just start over.
Well,
but we do have a little bit. We do have a little bit from, I believe it's someone either that works at Twitter, X, whatever, but we have a tweet where they were talking, and I think you have it pulled up, Curtis. I'll share it, but they were talking a little bit about what it sounds like the goal of X. I don't, is it Twitter X? Is it X? Like, it's not even really clear how they're doing it, but the logo has now changed. But when you go to tweet, it still says tweet. It's not Xeet yet. But anyways, this is what they say. It's an exceptionally rare thing in life or business that you get a second chance to make another big impression. Twitter made one massive impression and changed the way we communicate. Now X will go further, transforming the global town square. So this is like where they're going. X is the future state of unlimited interactivity, centered in audio, video, messaging, payments, and banking, creating a global marketplace for ideas, goods, services, and opportunities. Here's where it gets interesting. Powered by AI, X will connect us all in ways we're just beginning to imagine. I actually haven't seen this third one, but yeah, I think that second one kind of says it all. We're already starting with that. Let me just finish reading that other one. We've already started to see X take shape over the past 8 months through our rapid feature launches, but we're just getting started. So there you go. Rate limits are a feature. They're not a bug.
Sweet baby Jesus.
It's like doublethink, isn't it? It's like the idea that you get a second chance to make another big impression. Or
if anyone tells me they're going to transform the global town square, I think I just want to batter them to death immediately.
Oh my God.
That is one of the most vomit-inducing market speak pearls that I've heard in a very long time. I've got no patience for this nonsense. When they say it's going to do this, it's going to do that, I just know it isn't.
Yeah,
it's going to fall on its ass.
It is bravado. It is hubris. There is a certain amount of. I mean, they're claiming this is going to change the way things are happened, and also they say that Twitter changed the way that we communicate, and they're assuming that that's necessarily a good thing.
Exactly. Yeah, all change is good, isn't it? Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see. I think the important thing to see is we now see two major companies using unfinished, almost beta kind of stuff, marketing that and using that as free advertising, which is just it's a parody.
So let's bring this to a production standpoint. So does that mean for our music now we need to put out like unfinished versions and be like, oh, the finished one is a feature later? You know, like
we do this. We do this now. And
I mean, yeah, works in progress, like on our Discord. That's kind of a thing. But it's interesting in the way that they're doing it is they like put it out as its full product. Like, hey, this is Threads. This is X.
That's not where the analogy stops. It's like this week I might be a jazz band. I might be. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's true. That's true.
We don't like.
I'm not saying it's a good thing. I was just curious. Like, I'm just curious. Is there anything to learn from this tactic? I don't like the tactic, and I'm not saying we should.
I'm saying everything about this, right, is just saying volatile platform, limited shelf life. It is absolutely torching the brand. You know, like somebody thinks, what can this give me? It's like, you know, everybody's getting sick and tired of it from what I've read in my feed. And it's just like everyone's looking for alternatives now. You know, it's only people are only going to use it as long as it's useful. And they've gone, well, you know what's great? Not only are we going to mess this up, we're going to branch out into a load of other stuff that you're not interested in as well. It's, for God's sake, really? So I just think as a musician, you know, I mean, Instagram, you can still share pictures on and stuff and videos. YouTube, you know, it just makes you look at the other platforms and think, I'm wasting my time a bit on Twitter unless, you know, there's a conversation there I want to be part of with my mates. You know, as far as a way of pushing your brand and so on, who knows if it's going to be there in a year, you know?
It's true. I was just more just thinking the possibilities of, is there anything from this strange tactic we keep witnessing that we can take and either learn from, utilize, or not utilize it? I don't really like the idea. I'm just curious, you know, thinking as we're in the marketing minute, like
trying to be positive and trying to find use in it. I think it's
all I'm saying is it's too. I'm sorry, Jan. Like just let me finish this one thing, because all I'm saying is trying to express, and I'm not sure if I'm doing it well, is just that it's two major companies doing this now. You would think they would know what they're doing and doing it. Maybe not. Maybe that's the whole point. But I'm curious if there's anything we can take from it. You know, I don't know. This is more just a rhetorical question, or just to see what you guys think. If there's anything from this strange strategy that we keep witnessing that we can take and utilize in music promotion.
Completely. Like the notion of the unfinished, the notion of the unpolished, the notion of the work in progress is now more open. We do it behind closed doors, i.e. through our Discord, for example, and we do it and we might show our mates, we might send a Google link here, there and everywhere, but it's nonetheless, it's behind closed doors. But if you look at this, where they're openly going through with this is chaotic, but we're going through it anyway, as well. Like, we're very candid and we're very honest about when we have technical issues and when we have things that go on and we have problems in the green room and when we start late, and that informality, like that honesty, that's not a bad thing. Now, I don't trust X, Twitter, Instagram. I don't trust them, but it does give the air of honesty in that regard. And
it's true. The
notion of being able just to post again, we're coming back to that notion almost where, the first Instagram was, like I say, it was a potato photo of a potato kind of thing, where it's just this is what I'm having for dinner, that kind of thing. Before it got polished, before it became dances, before it became self-help motivation.
Still very much dinners as well.
Say it again.
It's still very much dinners on there. A lot of dinners on Instagram.
Depends who you follow.
Yeah. But I think it's coming back. That I think that allows open doors, so to speak. And no longer, if you want to take a positive from it, which I feel like is what you're trying to go for, if you are starting out as a producer, you no longer have to be worried so much about having a fully perfect, polished product to do on release day, and everything's got to be ready for release day. We've already seen staggered releases. We already see multiple releases in different versions. We already see digital release and then a few weeks later a physical release. They see that. Now that takes it one step further. You can really just be authentic and be yourself, which is really what I think needs to happen if you're going to have any success in the moving forward.
That's an interesting point, and I actually think you had talked about this with Threads last week or the week before, but it's kind of like inviting people into the journey.
Yeah.
So,
that's nothing new for us, though, is it?
No, and I don't think so. But maybe, and like you said, it's not really new, but I think it's something to take away and maybe reiterate that this could be something to utilize more, is like let in on the journey of, if you want to put a video up of the songs you're making, like you don't have to worry to master it and do this and just show the story, the journey of it, Yeah, or like, hey, I wrote this riff, and then a week later, I added drums to this riff, and just like the expansion, like let people into the behind the curtain, I guess, like you're all saying. But yeah, again, I don't like the tactic these companies have been employing. I'm just looking maybe a silver lining, like can we take anything from this for ourselves? That's all.
It depends who it's coming from, really. I think this sort of thing is probably going to be more useful to an individual than a corporation.
Yeah, it's true.
I think from an individual, it looks more like honesty. It looks more like being able to see, the cracks and the wrinkles. Whereas from a corporation, it just looks like cynical marketing.
Yeah.
I think why not both, as Jack would say. There is an opportunity there. I think it's how you see it. And it's going to be interesting to see how it flows back, because we do see somewhat. While everyone was chatting, someone has sent me a photo from Missouri. So I've pulled this up here. Do you want to?
Yeah. So talking about alternatives to Twitter, and we were talking about Threads already, but there's a bit of an update from Threads. There was an update to Threads, and then Adam Mosseri, who's the head of Instagram, posted some of what this does, and it's stuff that should have been there from the start, but they're saying, we heard your feedback and are rolling out some updates starting today. A feed option to see only posts from people you follow in chronological order. That's huge, because they did away with that on Facebook a long time ago, and they kind of rolled it back, but not really. Post translations, which is really cool. New ways to filter, I don't know what notifs, inactive, maybe notices or something. Notifications. Yeah, sorry. There we go. Inactivity. Follow button to easily follow your followers back. And a quick way to approve new followers if your account is private. And they say, this is just the beginning. Thanks for the feedback as always. Please keep sending through as we make even more updates to improve your experience on this app. I think that first sentence and final paragraph also show this whole tactic of like you're with us while we make this. Like we're making this with you. We're taking your feedback. We're doing that. Yeah, you're part of it. Like you're being heard. Like the vindication. You're being heard. It's interesting. But just because Survey Channel in the chat had mentioned that he's tried the alternatives. They all stink. And you don't feel like rebuilding a social media account. I mean, Threads at least has that kind of built-in build back in the sense of like you can see everyone that follows you on Instagram and they see you, so you can kind of like it shows you like, do you want to follow these people, and then it notifies you. So there's kind of some connection between the two. So you're not necessarily starting from zero, but the algorithm, in my experience, is still horrible for like when you post things. So yeah, I don't know.
We'll have to see. We'll be curious to see how it moves forward and where you guys think this is going to go moving forward. Obviously, the saga continues, and we're all going to keep on using it for now. If you do something,
but just another reason to patrons head to the Discord so we can talk on the Discord. We've got a patron chat there and all that. So yeah,
it's awesome there. It's nice. We all talk to each other. It's all cool.
I'll tell you what I really think on Discord.
Yeah, there you go.
We'll see. So yeah, there's that. We look forward to seeing how that comes through. That's the marketing minute. Our final.
Before we move into the round robin, now is the time. Patrons, if you want to head into the chat, I see Hydro Fighter in there, so we'll let you in 1 second. But if you want to head into the meet and come join us for the round robin, now is the time. So we'll get Hydro Fighter in. Anybody else, just hop in the green room. The link is in the Discord, and it's over on Twitter if you want to go to X or whatever, X, Twitter, all that good stuff. But let's get Hydro Fighter and see how he's doing, and then we'll talk round robin. Hydro Fighter, what's up? It's been a minute.
It's been more than a minute. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Audio's good?
Yeah. How you doing, man?
I'm okay. It's a weird day. My dad's struggling with technology. You guys probably know what it's like, but reset his password, couldn't get logged back in, then clicked on something, got a pop-up, ended up calling a number. Tell you what, when I'm his age, I'm going complete DAW-less. That means an acoustic guitar and an acoustic piano.
How are you going to record it?
I'm not going to. You're just going to have to show up to the
Wait, so you're going to play both at the same time, like an open tuning on guitar and then just play piano?
No. I guess I probably have to switch between them. I'm not that talented.
All right.
Either one the way it is.
I was thinking like a cool open tuning that you just kind of hit and tap, and then you're just playing piano with the other hand. That it could work.
Yeah.
It has been a minute, Hydro Fighter. How is your world going? Apart from father technological issues, how's everything? How's the music? Have you been working with Shady quite a bit, haven't you?
Yeah, we did a couple of sessions this spring and this summer. So I think we've got all of our songs tracked. We just kind of got to tweak them a little bit when we get them done, or when we'll get them done. But yeah, I've been doing that, and then just kind of getting having my controller set up, going back to some of the old soft synths and digging in deeper into those. But I've kind of unplugged quite a bit this summer, which may or may not be good, but I'll find out one way or the other.
It's a regular thing though, right?
Yeah.
Summertime. I mean, you're going to go do things that you have opportunities to do, because in the wintertime, you don't have those chances. Yeah. At least where I'm at. I'm not in SoCal.
It's been really hot here though, man. You don't want to go outside during like noon and just melt.
Yeah.
But it's hot in a lot of places right now though. So yeah.
Everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, shall we talk about the round robin? I don't want to say better news, because it's a bit of a interesting round robin, but yeah, should we move over to that? Curtis, you want to intro the round robin?
Yeah, so obviously everyone listening live is a patron, knows what the round robin is, so awesome. But for those who are watching the re-upload, the video, who might be watching it for the first time, this is the part of the show where we take a topic about production, be it technical, existential, or any other form of all, and we basically hash it out as a community. Various people bring a topic of discussion, and we all share our thoughts in the name of hopefully giving a piece of new information to someone else and making their life a little bit better and easier. And it's just fun. So I brought it to the table this week. I was a bit unsure about it, and then I brought it to Sunwalker on Monday. And it's like, oh yeah, do that. Let's do it. It's good. So I was like, okay, cool. All right. Bit of a different format this week, but I'll bring it up on the overlay. So the round robin.
That's
sorry.
not what we talked about. Just to clarify, that's not why I was like, yeah, let's do it.
We have all heard this at some point, right? I'm not saying our music sucks, but
So
we have all heard
If
it.
you're not Sunwalker or Curtis, your music sucks. How do
I
you
just
deal
want to
with it?
clarify that I did not be like, yeah, just right, like tell everyone their music sucks. No, it's the reaction to someone
Yeah.
stating your music sucks.
All right.
Yes,
Taking bad feedback. Right. Yeah.
yeah. So we've all received bad feedback. We've all received poor feedback at some point, be it warranted, be it unwarranted, be it about technical, be it about the sound or whatever. But we have that little ego voice in our brain or our chest that tells us that, you know, when someone says, you might think about this, you might think about that, or whatever, that your music sucks. And I want to just bring that into the open. I want to hear people's reactions and how they deal with such an event, because it's an important one to process in that regard. Granted, I didn't really think about the overlay. I think I put all my energy into making cat puns this week. But yes, this is where we're at. So if you hear the phrase or something along the lines of your music sucks, what do you do about it? How do you feel? And how do you process those emotions? How do you react? Would anyone particularly like to begin this week?
You want me to go, Eon? The guests want to go first?
Yeah. If you got something for us, you may as well go first.
I shake it off. I mean, honestly, I just don't let it dent me, because most people that I'm friends with that are not in the music world can't relate to the type of music that I do or we do. They say, why don't you have any words in there? How come your songs are so dark all the time? My mom says it. How come your songs are so dark? Why don't you write happy, jingly songs? Like, that's just not what I do. And, you know,
Because
right?
I'm a dark person, Mom. It's
Yeah,
your fault.
I like the minor chords. Leave me alone. I'm just going to go into my dark room now.
it's the damage, you know. You did it to me.
Yeah.
I think most musicians are respectful in one way or the other. I mean, even if it's not right up their alley, they'll give you some sort of compliments or guidance if needed. But I mean, for the most part, I haven't received much bad feedback from the community, but it's just really people outside of the community who don't really understand what some of this deeper electronic music is about. And needless to say, I'm not selling thousands of records either. So
Yeah, I mean, those are all really good points. Very good points.
it doesn't hurt my feelings crying about it.
I think that's really important and
Yeah.
like a great place to be at. That I feel. I mean, I'm not at that level to just be able to be like, you know,
20 years ago, I would have thought completely different. But at my age now, the older I get, there's no need to stress out about any of this stuff. And I mean, the person who's probably harshest on my music is myself, right? Just second guessing what I'm doing. And I got some songs now that I'm not for sure if I'm 100% on them, but I'm going with it. So they suck, but I approve that they suck.
I'm hydrophobic. I can say this sucks. It works. I mean, if you are your harshest critic, that's absolutely fine in that regard. And I think that helps. You know, the notion as well. Okay, so you're putting songs. I wasn't completely convinced by all the tracks on Marooned, but you put them out, and it becomes something completely different for other people. I wonder if it's the same thing. If you're taking these songs and that you're not 100% on them, to borrow your phrase, you put them out, they become something completely different to someone who hasn't actually physically sat down and written them. Sorry, past participle. But yeah.
And I think I'm too deep into the idea, into the concept of what I'm doing to change my mind. So I'm going forward with it. So it's not overly complex what I'll be doing, but you guys will hear it.
Yeah, but it's about seeing those ideas through, isn't it? It's about taking the kernel of something. It means something to you. You know what you want to do with it. And you kind of stay true to that and finish the job. And then it is what it is. And people think what they think. And
that's exactly it. Otherwise, you just start over every time you get to that point, and then you never get anything done.
Yeah. And
that's
why you at the like for that. Well, that's 2 cents from Hydrofighter. Is that what you said? That's my 2 cents. Yeah,
2 cents.
Just 2. Well, I have 3 or 4 do. Eon Lake, where are you sitting?
kind of similar. I mean, Yeah, I think Hydra Fighter and I are on a level with a lot of things, but I know what I want to do, and I know if I like it, and if I achieve what I was trying to do, and it's all about my criteria, because this is, this whole sort of making music thing is an exploration of me and expressing me in some way. So it's a very personal thing, and I think it'll either you either connect with it or you don't, and I find a lot of people don't have very good taste in music.
They suck.
I don't solicit opinions from people normally because they're not useful to me, because I'm kind of on my own journey trying to do something, and I don't need sort of like, is the bass too loud, help, or anything like that. It would need to be a different project to start taking external comments and folding them into what I'm doing. That's not what I'm about, doing this particular thing. So I don't really care. People either like it or they don't. And I think that's the nature of music. And as long as you did what you wanted to do, you enjoyed yourself, you made something that you're kind of happy with, maybe, there's always going to be something you'd like to change, but, on the whole, it worked out well, then you move on to the next thing. And it's just a thing that you do. If people tell you they don't like it, it's unfortunate, It's a shame. But I don't expect to be the next Taylor Swift, really.
Really? You sure about
That's never really what this has been about, And I think what we do is kind of niche, in for each of us. I'm more about the 1,000 true fans than, I don't want to be getting on a jet to go play stadiums or anything like that. I just want to do what I do. If people like it, they like it. It would be nice if some people did. But, I try not to think about it. It's easy to say, though. I mean, you were saying that, do you always feel that way? And I suppose, I guess it depends how much bad feedback you get. If it's quite constant deluge of bad feedback, sooner or later it's going to start to have an effect. But, just a comment here or a comment there, I mean, you've got to expect it at some point. I can't think of a famous or successful band, musician, whatever, that hasn't been caned by someone at some point. It's all so, circumstantial.
Who remembers the snare from Saint Anger by Metallica?
I listened to it yesterday, just to listen to that snare to see how bad it was.
Or the bass on Justice for All, or and the snare on that as well. To be honest,
what bass he on? Like, there is no bass on the
bass drum,
tens and guitars, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not a Swiftie, but I'll be an Eon Lakey.
Yeah,
is that what they're called?
Eon Lakey.
Eon Lakey.
Yeah. I'm a Laker.
That's trademarked, I think. The Laker. It's probably trademarked.
Well, Lakers with a Z, and that's fair, I feel.
I bet they would still try to do you.
Eon Lakers, yeah. I don't know.
We'll see. But yeah, no, it's very interesting. I mean, it's important.
What they want to be called.
Say again, Eon Lake.
We'll ask them both what they want to be called.
Yeah.
It's important to see. It's important to understand, like you say, if you're on a journey, both of you make it in a row. You make what comes from the heart, and you're making something that speaks to you. And it's important to rationalize that and see, your own personal journey is one that is just that. It is personal, and it's not anyone else's, really. So the notion of doing something for anyone else's feedback or for anyone else's enjoyment is going outside of what you're doing it for. If someone takes joy and pleasure from your work, that's good, but ultimately it satisfied your own musical cravings first. And that's an important point to remember, especially when in this day and age, when the mod music industry is, can you make a lo-fi beat, or can you make a bass track, which will get on 100,000 tracks, 100,000 plays, for example. It's easy to get caught up in that and caught up in those vanity metrics. But when you're making something true from the heart, it's a good space to go. Sunwoofer. Because you had a particular interest in this round robin this week. Where are you?
Well, yeah, I think first and foremost, I want to be in response to both Hydro Fyter and Eon Lake, because as I was saying, I think that's a great mindset to be in, and it's a great mindset to work towards. But I think that's not where we start typically as musicians, and I think it's good to remember that, because not all of us are in the same place. We're all on our own journey, and I think part of what we want to talk about too in this round robin is to get to that point. Like, how do you get there? Because I mean, look, we make music and we release it into the world. And I mean, yeah, we shouldn't rely on external vanity, external praise, anything like that. But it is nice to get feedback or to know like you're doing something that resonates with someone. That's great to hear. And I think at least me, and I think a lot of us typically will focus, like laser focus in on any negative feedback far more than, like, you could get 100 things of praise, but one thing that's like, this is shit. And you'll focus on that and be like, well, why is it shit? Even though a large amount, and it's not quantity, it's not anything like that. It's just, I think we typically tend to gravitate towards the negative and then hyper focus on it. So
I think it's just psychology.
Exactly. Yeah, it is psychology for sure. And I just want to highlight that, like, it's okay if you're watching this and you feel differently, or that you do get hung up on negativity, like, that's okay. And you should not beat yourself up because you feel that way. You should accept it, and then, you know, try to find ways to work through that, and remember, like, you're making the music for yourself. Even if you're trying to do music for a living or something, in the end, your music is an expression of you and your lived experience and who you are. And when it goes out into the world, I think Curtis kind of said this already, maybe you guys did as well, sorry, but it's no longer necessarily yours when someone else is listening to it. Like, it's still you and it's still yours, but their interpretation of the song is going to be theirs based on their experience, where they're at when they hear it. And you have to remember that. Yeah. And it's good to remember that, because maybe they didn't like it, but maybe that's where they're at in life, that it doesn't resonate, or they don't listen to that genre, or, you know, there could be a countless number of reasons why. But I think those are all steps and things to work on to get to the point where Hydro Fyter and Eon Lake are saying they're at, of like being able to just, you know, say F it, like whatever. And that's a great place to be. I think we just have to take steps to work on that and validate those times where we feel beaten by a comment or something like that.
I think it's just age, though. I mean, we're
maybe
not to
but that's practice.
Not to call you out, Eon, but we're no spring chickens here. I mean,
I feel like I already called him out.
Right?
That's all right. That's well in the public domain.
It's not just music about being criticized. I mean, it could be anything. It could be my balding head for all I care. But I mean, you just, as you get older, you just start not to think about things like that. I mean,
but I think that comes from practice too.
About who you are. But yeah, you don't. I absolutely was not that person when I was younger. But then again, I was always the sort of person who was far more critical of myself, to the point that other people's opinions weren't really relevant. I hated myself when I was a kid, you know, so I wasn't really interested in what other people thought. I was totally wrapped up in what I thought. Now I'm not, you know, it's taken a long time to get there. I think you're right, though. I mean, as far as advice goes, if you do get caned or something, it's important to remember that everything is just a point of view. You know, life is utterly subjective, and it's all about whoever that person is, what they like, what their day's gone like up to that point, all the rest of it. You know, I mean, I think there's a lot to be said for taking the praise when it comes and just, you know, trying to balance out the negativity if that comes too. I mean, and like Bendy said in the chat, I've tried to sort of brace myself.
Yeah, let me share that so we can have the context. He says that, I hope that this isn't taken like some sort of flex, but I've tried to prepare for a hater and the negative feedback just hasn't come my way. The community is pretty supportive. Yeah, and that's another good thing. Just real quick, Jan, like before we get back to your point, is finding a supportive community like we have on our Discord. We'll share music, and you know, we all find things to talk about, and we can give feedback and critiques, but it's all in a positive and welcoming method and place. Like, it's not, you know, find that, and then you have the confidence too, and start developing and building that strength in yourself to trust yourself and know what you're doing is your expression, and, you know, believe in it. So even if you get the negative comments, you're like, no, I know what I'm doing is right and I'm on the right path, you know? Yeah, like, I'm sorry, continue.
Oh, that's fine. Because I think in a community, I don't really see the point of any negative feedback anyway. Really, people are going to be doing their thing, running through their process, all the rest of it. I think it just helps them a lot more if you point out all the things that they're getting right, that are working, because, you can think, all right, well, that goes over well. I'm getting some stuff done well. They'll be picking holes in it themselves. You don't need to tell them that, the bass is a bit too loud or whatever. They'll deal with all of that day-to-day stuff. But I think telling them what they're getting right is a lot more useful, to the process. But yeah, I mean, it's very easy. It's true what you say, Sam Walker. It's human nature to pay more attention to negative stuff. But we live in a time when everybody has an opinion on the slightest thing, and also they're not well-formed opinions. They're not considered opinions. And this is something that drives me nuts about modern life. It's just, I've thought about that for 2 seconds, and I'm going to drop this, what I think is a truth bomb, but it is just a massively crass statement. And you're expected to deal with that. I think, you need to remind yourself we're in a highly opinionated age. Everybody has them. It's all subjective. What the hell? What does it change about you and music? Nothing.
I think having our history of releases out there too is kind of a cool thing, because you can look at a specific artist and see how they've grown, how their production's gotten better, how their songs have changed. And sometimes some of the older releases from some of our community people, some of those tracks have really, really good ideas. And you don't think about it because you look at their last release and think, well, how are they going to top that? That's amazing. It's like, maybe they don't need to. Maybe I won't get it for a couple of years yet. And then I'll go back and revisit it. Right?
Definitely. And Curtis, I mean, you brought this to the table. What is your take on this?
I go back to that Dragon Ball Z episode where he says, "You fool, this isn't even my final form." That's what I come back to.
I love it. That's great. We're done. We'll see you next week.
See you next week. Just to reiterate, to just try and point out, I'm not entirely insane. We all grow as musicians within ourselves, within our sound, and within our process in what we do, right? And every exploration is something where you unlock, and you always think in that present moment when you're in a flow state and you're building something, you're always in that notion of, this is the best thing I've ever done, and this is going to be great, and this is going to be awesome, and this is, I'm a king, and then you have that same thing. Say again.
This is the one. This is it.
This is the one. This is the bang. This is going to change my entire life, and it doesn't. And that's okay. And and so you have that moment, and you know that you're going to have, subconsciously probably, you're going to have that moment at another point in time where you've unlocked a new piece of information which allows you to do other things. I'm looking at live stream templates currently that I'm looking at I'm on week 24 or something, 23. I'm looking at my first son of 4 or 5, and the workflow is insane. I'm looking at it now, and I'm going, and this is in the same year. I'm looking at that workflow and going, what the fuck, and I'm looking at the music that I make, and I'm going back on it and going, it's not the greatest thing in the world, So when someone comes at you and goes, that could suck. Generally speaking, I go, okay, I can see that. I can see how you feel that way. There are some tracks that there's that thing there that I made. Yeah, that sucks. Yeah, I can see that. That was me 2 and a bit years ago, and that was me 6 months ago. That was me yesterday, and that sucked. Like, sucking is part of it, because without the sucking, you're not going to get those stuff that's really good.
What is it?
You're not going to get.
There's a Stoic saying that's if you want to be if you want to do something, be willing to look the fool, because you have to start.
Completely.
Yeah. Sorry, I butchered the quote. I'll find the real quote, but I know that the end is be willing to look the fool. That's the end.
I think you just need a suck knob on your mixer, right? You guys know about the suck knob? It's a fake knob, right? But you just turn it, and it takes all the suck out of your song.
Yeah,
there you go.
It's like that basis for this thing. Yeah, but I think it's worth. I think it's understanding that your musical journey is just that. It is a journey. You're not defined by one piece. You're not defined by one album. You're not defined by that weird thing that you decided to make when you had a little bit too much to smoke one weekend at your mate's house. Like, you're not defined by that.
Yeah.
But they are snapshots of existence, and that's okay, and that's cool. And as you do more, that's why you never give up on mixes. That's why you never give up on mixes. That's why you never give up on projects, because you finish your projects and you understand.
Sometimes it's okay to give up though and just remix it later. I found the quote is from Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher. It says, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid."
Completely. And that's fine, and that's good. I love playing.
Before we wrap up, I just want to share a couple other things Bendu added. He says, "You also have to take internet negativity with a grain of salt. It's coming from a person who has nothing better to do than dunk on music makers." And that's totally true. I just know, like we were saying, psychologically, like we do gravitate to negative comments more. So it that's where you want to get to. Like I keep saying with like what Hydro Fyter and Eon, like we're saying, like that's where you want to work towards. And those are the things you want to use and remember, like what Bendu was saying, remember that when you do get bogged down in the negativity. And also what he adds, he says, one articulate compliment should obliterate 100 naysayers. Totally.
Yeah.
I love that.
And I think that does. I mean, I really do think that's true. You know, somebody, I mean, not just, oh, that's great. But somebody who actually can tell you why they really like what they heard. I mean, it's especially if you were bracing yourself for a deluge of negativity, I think it can have a lot more impact than, some stranger who didn't like it. Who cares? And if you do end up giving yourself a hard time, just remember that you're human. Suppose you're doing something you love, of course you care about it. Don't worry. Don't give yourself a hard time. Just keep on trucking.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that says it all, right? So I think we can stop the round robin there. Curtis, what have you got going on this week?
This week, what am I going to do this week? Yeah, so I started building this Uber template thing, and I'm quite excited about it. I started doing that like yesterday, and so I think that's where I'm going to continue exploring. Just try and max out everything. How wide and versatile and improvised can I make this Ableton template? Which means that I can create anything at a click of a button without having to then root on the computer while I do it. That's the key. Use the computer, but don't stare at the computer. That's my gung-ho thing. That's what I'm doing.
Interesting. Really that's kind of where I was at with that not DAW setup, the DAW live set that I did for the Bandcamp live stream. That was like my never even have to look at the computer, but it's sending MIDI, it's mixing, like it's doing all that. But I think that's a good way to go. It's like the best of both worlds. Get the tactile hardware, but you're running it with this powerful computer behind it.
Exactly. That's what I'm doing. Hydro Fyter?
I got a couple little music things that I need to take care of, helping Shady out with a couple of things. But otherwise, I'm going to unplug this weekend. Shady and I are going to be hanging out with a couple of our old high school buddies.
Oh, that's awesome. That's going to be great.
Yeah. You're not going to be drinking beer, are you?
We're not going to be drinking it. We're just going to be injecting it.
Eye drops. Vodka eye drops. That's what you'll be doing, yeah.
Well, Curtis told me earlier I'm not going to be judged for that one weekend I got super stoned. I mean, hopefully nobody judges me for overconsumption of beer this weekend.
Well, that's a lot of fun. That sounds
like fun.
But it does. Eon, like, what are you up to?
I'm going to try to do another track for this EP that I'm working on. I've got 3 that are sort of fully formed ideas that are ready to bring up into the studio and start thrashing out. I want a 4th one, though. I'm exploring particular ideas at the moment, and I've had a couple more ideas of how I can do that. Now I need to just play with those, see what happens. I'd like 4 tracks for this next one, so we'll see if one wants to come out. If not, I'll just finish the ones I've got, but that's my plan.
That'll be a good one. And some water?
Yeah.
Resting, that's key. But I did a lot last week with the live set, which went great. Had a lot of people in there. It was great seeing all the patrons in there. And then the the CD of it, Curtis and I worked on these individual CDs. So there's 5 individual artwork CDs for the project for Forever Becoming. There's only a couple left because a lot of people have already snagged them. So if anybody wants to grab it, it's over on my Bandcamp. And then I made a King of Bass video with that synth we talked about last week.
Yeah,
I made this
I
like crazy Aphex Twin type of song. You got it, Eon Lake? Yeah. I love that app. And I made, with all just those sounds, I made like an Aphex Twin type song on the SP. It's a lot of fun to do. So that I have to finish that edit. So if I don't finish it for tomorrow, there'll not be a video this week, and there'll be a video next week. So I'm being patient and lenient with myself. You know, like I'm not forcing it. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, so I think my biggest thing for this coming week is just be okay with taking a step back for a second. Like, you know, have that leniency and the self-care. You know, like be okay. Take a break.
Yeah.
So,
Go get some sun tanning in out in that heat, sun warper, right?
Oh.
Warp that sun.
yeah, the sun's gonna warp me. I was out there walking the dog at like 8 a.m. and it was just a furnace. Got to have sunscreen and everything. I'm like, what is this?
That's when you remember how raisins are made.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Good point, Neon. Like, yeah.
I saw a news article that my mum sent it to me from the UK. It's like people baffled as to why we have severe weather in the UK. And I'm like, really? In 2023, you're baffled as to why we have severe weather? Really? Okay, fine. All right, we'll deal with it. But anyway, Hydrofighter, it's lovely to have you back on the round.
Yeah, lovely to be back. It's good to see you guys.
Yeah, hopefully you can make this a more recurring thing.
Yeah, normally I have a meeting at this time, but I'll sneak in when I can. It's going to be few and far between, but
well, we'll cherish those moments.
Yeah, we'll try.
Yeah,
always good.
I just want to say a big thanks to all the patrons who tuned in live, and if you're watching this back as a video, if you got some value out of it, if you enjoyed what we did with the Octave Cat and want to see more, leave a like, subscribe if you haven't. It all helps a ton. But of course, just hanging out is always more than enough. And if you're looking for some new music, we've got the latest in chill and independent electronic music in the description. We've got a playlist, the Audionautic Radio playlist, so you can head there if you want to check it out. Curtis, anything you want to add before we go?
If you want to see more of the Octave Cat, I'm going to be using it as a basis for my live stream after this show. I'll be on about half an hour after we debrief for this show.
There you go. Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah. Fat Cat, right? That's what you named it?
Fat Cat with a PH.
Of course. Yeah. You got to throw in some 808s or something to make it really, really fat with the PH.
We'll see. So yeah, that's what's happening. But thank you to everyone.
From scratch? Are you going to start from scratch, or are you going to use the song you did in this as like a starting point?
No, I'm starting from scratch.
Oh, okay. You going to do that lush proggy techno again?
We'll see.
Well, all right.
I might go a little bit more. I've been feeling ambient. I haven't done anything beatless for a while. I'm thinking ambient. Okay. So we'll see what happens. We have to tune in to find out. I think that's what you need to say, isn't it? Because we're all part of this marketing game. But anyway, thanks to everyone who tuned in. If you're watching back and you want to get involved in the live show, we're experimenting with this live stream being for patrons only. We don't know. Patrons, let us know if you think it's a good idea, if you like the idea or not. Please, we are running experiments, multiple experiments, because together we grow. So please let us know what you think about this notion of putting it for patrons only and then putting it back up later. If you are watching back and you're not a patron, if you want to get involved in the discussion, become a patron. We'd love to have your support, because then you get to talk to people like Hydrofighter, and that's awesome.
Yeah. And I just want to add that part of this experimentation is also figuring out some ins and outs of the algorithm for YouTube, because we've noticed we've been doing live streams for a year for ADSN every week. I don't think we've missed a single one, and so we always notice that the live streams taper in terms of watch, whereas even like on Curtis's and my Sun Warper YouTube channels, when you do a normal video, a long form video, it has a long shelf life. But these live streams, even our live streams, they kind of go right after. It's like a quick reach and then it tapers off. And so as part of our marketing research and to relate to you as artists and YouTube, if you use YouTube, we want to do these experiments to see what works best. And so that's part of it.
For sure.
And share the output.
Yeah, of course. That goes without saying, but yes, thank you for saying. Anything else before we go?
No, from my end, I think that's all good.
All right. Well, we will see you next Wednesday. Thanks for watching.